check this out and get back to me.
And that's when they take me into a hotel room later that night and very aggressively say, what the hell do you think you're doing? Because those projects understand the power of consciousness, and that the Rosetta Stone of contact has to do with these protocols. And they were not happy that we were doing this without their permission.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Engaging the Phenomenon. And this episode is called UFO Storytime, and that's going to become relevant very soon. So that clip you just saw was from a new show, but it's talking about an old story that Dr. Stephen Greer has talked about over the years. And I think it's an important one, and I'm going to clarify which points that I think are true, because I think some of this did actually occur. And you know, I'm familiar with people in the CSETI circle over the last several years, so I kind of know some of the backstory. So here, Dr. Stephen Greer is talking about how you know, he was approached by people saying, you know, what the hell do you think you're doing making contact with you know, ETs or UFO intelligence, and who do you think you are?
So within a month of that event in Florida in March of 1992, I was asked to go to a conference in Atlanta. Now, I thought it was just a conference. I got there and it was half of MAGIC, this covert group that deals with UFOs there. The former head of Army intelligence was there were NSA people there were DIA people there, et cetera and so on. And they proceeded to sort of ask me, what the hell do you think you're doing? I said, well, I'm doing what you can read. It's all public. I don't have any secrets about it. We're a team to make contact with these civilizations outside of governmental channels because the government is broken. And I was informed it was none of my business and not to do it. And I said, try stopping me. So we kind of had a mano a mano. Was not pretty, till 3 in the morning in a hotel room. And, you know, and I said, this is what I'm going to do. So there were people opposed to what the CE5 contact program was from the very, very earliest days. Most people don't realize that. On the other hand, there's a senior official at the CIA who flew down on a jet to my town in North Carolina, Asheville, North Carolina, to say, do it, and don't give up. Someone's got to do this, because it's completely out of control, and moreover, someone's going to have to spearhead not only making contact, but informing the public, because the system is so completely dysfunctional. Now, the person who was sent down was a man whose family founded the California Institute of Technology, one of the most prestigious universities in America, and is associated with the NSA and CIA. And I said, well, I'm a country doctor in North Carolina, rambling around in an ER, and you know, I'm doing this sort of as just an ad hoc group to do this. He says, no, well, someone is going to have to do this, but also is going to have to educate the public. And I said, well, I'll do what I can in between ER shifts and raising 4 children. And as things went, you know, that was sort of the initiation, and my initiation into this sort of weird, down the rabbit hole world of secret projects. I'm going, why is this guy coming as an emissary of this very senior CIA person who's involved in this, begging me to do something? Why don't they just do it? Anyway, so you're going to see this.
And, you know, the story goes that Dr. Stephen Greer basically told them to, you know, buzz off. You know, I can do what I want. I'm a free citizen, and so on. Now, a little more detail on this. Actually, this event took place at a conference that was held in 1992 called TREAT. And TREAT stands for Treatment and Research into Experienced Anomalous Trauma. And this was something of an abduction research group and an abduction conference. So I don't know all the players there, all the individuals, the researchers, and apparently intelligence people that were present at this. You're going to hear some of them who were, but if I had to guess, I would guess that some of the abduction researchers prominent in 1992 were there. Now, Dr. Greer has been telling the story for years, and he's never spoken about the people who allegedly came in and said, who you are, what you think you're doing. And when he didn't agree to work with them, allegedly Dr. Greer claims that they basically bribed him in some way to say, hey, we'll fund your research, but you can't make it public, kind of thing. And when Dr. Greer had refused that, apparently they went to his wife, Emily, and they started saying, oh, Dr. Greer's so great, we want him to work with us. And then his wife went back to him. Dr. Greer said, oh, they're saying such nice things about you, why don't you work with them? And he basically said, don't trust these people. So again, I believe that this event did occur, and I believe it's February of 1992 in a hotel. And Dr. Greer tells a story of being brought up into the hotel room with these intelligence people, and again, they tried to say, what are you doing? And then they tried to allegedly compromise his work. And the people, according to Dr. Greer, who were saying these things to him and who threatened him in his own account and basically tried to bribe him, which he's never mentioned before, I don't know why, are General Stubblebine. I'm not sure if he had retired at that time, but he was the head of Army Intelligence. John Alexander, we all know him from the remote viewing stuff, and it makes sense because Dr. Greer was on their radar for contacting remote viewing back in the early 90s because of some incidents that occurred. And Ed Dames. So allegedly it was these three individuals that had approached Dr. Greer at this this conference and meeting, which according to Dr. Stephen Greer, he was invited kind of at the last minute to be a speaker or a keynote speaker at this event. So I don't know if there's any footage of that event, probably not, but that's the story. And I believe that there are elements that are true. I know Dr. Greer has gone on to say that the bribe that they offered him was in the millions and then billions or something like that. I think that's probably an exaggeration. Maybe they said, hey, listen, you'll have access to an account of, maybe several $1 million for your research, but it's going to be wrapped up into their program, and that it won't be able to be made public. And again, Dr. Greer said, screw that. Which we probably would have not seen CSETI and the rest of the work he did if he did take that. So again, I believe those elements of the story to be true. He might have spun it a little bit or added his perspective, but fundamentally the story that he talks about, I do think is legitimate, and I think actually occurred. The players make sense. The story makes sense in its context, and that was around the time when Dr. Stephen Greer was getting the attention of a lot of people in the intelligence community, and that's apparent by what had transpired afterwards with Project Starlight, which ended up becoming the Disclosure Project. And Dr. Stephen Greer at that time was dealing with astronauts and people like Commander Will Miller and really high-ranking people in intelligence and military, and he ended up getting those meetings afterwards. Again, so this is just an interesting story, but for some reason Dr. Stephen Greer has never named the people that allegedly approached him at this hotel. And again, the people were General Stubblebine, Colonel John Alexander, and Ed Dames, the remote viewer. And again, super interesting. I don't know why he's never named these individuals, yet he's talked about the story many times over the last 20 years at least. And again, this is UFO story time. I just think this is an interesting story. I guess some people could call it a rumor of sorts, some kind of rumor. But again, my opinion, based on Greer's track record of talking about meetings he's had and discussions he's had, which a lot of them have checked out, I believe this meeting did occur, and that fundamentally what he's saying is true. So I hope you guys found that informative and interesting. We'll see you guys next time. Take care.